Hello beautiful beings and welcome to this video. We are talking about navigating communication through your channel with interdimensional beings, spirit guides, your higher self, galactic beings, entities, whatever you communicate with. We are talking about that today and how you can best set up your channel to receive that communication. I did a fully channeled video from the Akashic Records on how to navigate communication with galactic beings. It was 40 minutes and you can go check that out. It's fully channeled, but I wanted to do a video that was coming from just me and my experience with channeling, and also touching over the highlights that I found very important that came through when we channeled from the Akashic Records. I understand that not everyone has the space to listen to a 40-minute video, so I figured I'd do a little highlight video because this is a really important topic. We are becoming multidimensional beings and communication with the unseen is ramping up, so it's very important that you know these just guidelines on how to communicate with that unseen. So we're going to be covering, I took notes, we're going to be covering some topics like discernment, understanding your channel and how it differs from others, intention when connecting, how to receive, grounding, and we're just going to dive in. So also, welcome to the channel. If you are new, my name's Marissa. I'm a channeler of the Akashic Records. I channel galactic beings and I'm an intuitive as well. Just happy to be here, happy to share knowledge and the abundance of wisdom that comes through. So let's get started. First things first, connection to source. This is huge and you can do this simply by setting the intention to connect with source. Source is love, source is light, it's what we come from, and when you are connected to source, you are always protected. You are always fully in divine alignment when connected to source. And also, the same goes for when you are grounded. Grounding is super important when we channel because we have to be, we don't have to be in our bodies, but being grounded in our bodies helps us to stay centered and it helps us to stay connected to the human experience that we came here to experience. So I look at it this way. A mentor kind of showed me this one time and I really resonated with it. So this is us, it's kind of like a tree. We need deep roots in the ground, healthy, strong roots, soaking up all the grounding energies, the nutrients, in order to have our connection to the higher realms, to our channel, to our higher self, to the higher dimensions. In order to have one, we have to have the other. And so I look at it that way. Whenever I channel, I always make sure it's coming from a grounded place and that I am connected to source while doing so. And for example, anytime before I channel, I take a moment and just kind of ground into my body. I do this intuitively, so sometimes it's a few breaths to get grounded and sometimes it's a full 15-minute meditation that I do before I channel for YouTube or if I'm giving a client a reading. And when I'm grounding, I'm coming into my body. I'm doing a body scan. I'm sending visually like roots down into the earth. And then I will connect with source energy coming in at the very top chakra, which is like up here, this rainbow source crystalline energy coming through my body, sending a cord all the way down into Mother Gaia's center, into her core. So I'm like a full-on channel from source into the planet, and this is what keeps you protected. You are this beam of light, this beam of selenite, my guides once told me, and that will create a great foundation to work from. And so once you are connected to source, once you are grounded, intention comes into play. What is your intention for connecting? You may be looking for guidance. You may just want to connect with your soul self, create a better relationship. Intention is everything because it sets the tone for the messages that you will be receiving. And whenever I go in and I communicate with my guides, at first, when I didn't know necessarily who I was communicating with, I always set the highest and best intention to connect with the highest and best guides for me at this time. And I'll even still do this, you know, when I tap into the Akashic Records and I'm saying my opening prayer for myself, I always say, please bring through the highest and best information for me at this time. This always ensures that you are connecting with the highest, most vibrational beings for you at that time. You are only receiving the highest and best information for you at that time, and you kind of add a second layer of protection when doing this, because if your intention is only to connect with the highest and best beings, then so it is, you know, that's all you will connect with. And that is very important when navigating the plethora of beings that you can connect with when you just open your channel. You know, if you were to just open your channel and ask the ether, anyone can come forward. But if you set the intention to only connect with the highest and best beings for you, that is what will come forward. So intention is very important. Even when you are grounding, set the intention to ground your energy into a place that allows your channel to open up and receive the highest information. And then discernment. Discernment is a big topic. It is also very important. All of these are just the most important, but discernment is key, because who are you talking to? You know, when you ask a question, discernment on whether that's for you or for if you're giving a client reading for the client, discernment on whether this is a galactic being or if this is a past loved one or an ancestor. Discernment allows you to get a better idea of the energies that are coming through for you. And you can discern by tapping into the frequency of these beings. And by frequency, I mean feeling. Anytime a new being comes forward for me and I don't immediately kind of feel their essence, I always ask, please show me your true energy. And then I open myself up to receive that true energy. And if they are a being of love and light, that's what you're going to feel. And if they aren't, they're either probably going to run away or they, you know, I've never really had that happen, so I don't know what would happen. I'll be real. But you're probably going to feel that it's not the best energy, or maybe it is a lower vibrational energy, but they are coming forward to help you. And so you'll just understand by tuning into the feeling that you get when connecting with them. For instance, when I connect with Lyran beings, it is very, very heady for me. I get the feelings of like gold, and it's all like very much so like up here, very present, which makes sense. You know, they've got the mane, the hair, it's flowing, like it's a very heady sensation. But when I connect with Arcturian beings, that is very heart-centered for me. It's very in my body. It almost feels like me, which makes sense because I have a lot of connections with Arcturus. And I know that by discerning, you know, I'm able to discern this energy feels a lot like mine. What's the deeper connection here? And then for instance, if I connect with like a past loved one, it more so feels separate from me. Galactic guides, I feel like, have tapped more into oneness consciousness. And this came through in the channeled videos. So they feel like they come from within you because you are tapping into unity consciousness, into the oneness. Whereas a being or a spirit that doesn't necessarily support oneness or unity consciousness, they will oftentimes feel separate. And I've had that happen on occasions too, when I've had interactions with entities. It always feels out here. It always feels like out in front of me. I never feel their energy within. It's always a separate feeling. And so that's a level of discernment, just getting to know how energies interact with your own energy. And so with discernment as well, it's important to get to know your own energy. Meditation really, really helps with this, because long periods of time sitting in the present moment just with your energy allows you to get to know what it feels like at a kind of base level. And then when you interact with other people or you interact with other energies, you are able to see how that shifts your base level. I'm a reflector in human design, and so this is like super critical for me to learn, and in order for me to navigate the world around me, because reflectors are constantly sampling energy, and I have needed to learn how to discern what is mine and what isn't, or else I'll take it on. And so sitting alone has really helped with this. Being in nature also helps with this. The Schumann resonance brings you back to a state of your base level. That's why it's important to be with the trees, hug the trees, you know, love the trees. It brings you back to that like leveled ground. And then what you can do is practice. So you can go to a place that's super busy, like a mall or maybe a restaurant or a cafe or something, and close your eyes and kind of tune into your energy, ground into your being, and then start to just pick up. I feel a little chaos over there. Let's try that on. Let's see what that feels like and see how that interacts with my being. When a mentor told me that one time, I was like, but I don't want to pick up the chaos. I'll become the chaos if I tap into it. And she said, Marissa, when you're at the grocery store and you walk past the oranges and you smell the orange, that doesn't mean you are an orange. You're just smelling it. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So just because you're picking up on energies doesn't mean you are that energy. And so learning how to just play with the different energies that surround you is really important, because then you can discern what is yours, what isn't, how these beings interact with you. You know, what happens when you communicate with your spirit guides, what happens when you communicate with your higher self or a past loved one. You know, what does their energy feel like? And once you get to know that, you'll start to understand more easily who you're connecting with, and what their intention is by tapping into their frequency. Let's see. Okay, I think I covered all of that. So understanding your channel. All of our channels are different. No channel is the same. And getting to know your clairs is super important. I'm not gonna go over them, but you can look up a video, clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, you know, just get to know the clairs and see which ones you resonate with and play with those clairs. For me, I've always been a very visual person. However, recently I have been really coming into my knowing and into the feeling, and my vision has taken like the back seat in order for me to master the feelings and the knowing of the messages that come through for me. It's a different funnel, I guess. We have these funnels, and sometimes I get messages through the vision funnel, and then other times I get it through the knowing and the feeling funnel, and so they come in different ways. For me, I hear like my guides will oftentimes just say, start speaking and it will come through, and so I do. And what I'm speaking, I almost like become their microphone, I guess is what you could say. So when you see me channeling in a video, I am not necessarily sometimes hearing the words and then repeating the words, like the words are just coming through me and I am their microphone. And then other times I am seeing visuals and they show it to me because I better understand it in a visual. And so once you start to get to know your clairs and which ones are prominent for you, then you can ask to receive. Like sometimes they tell me something and I don't quite understand it, and I'm like, okay, could you please send that in a visual? And then that brings a more cohesive understanding to the messages that are being received. You create your channel. You create the avenue that they use to communicate with you. So if you're really into angel numbers, or you're really into seeing colors, or maybe you enjoy when you get like a physical sensation as a knowing rather than just a gut feeling. For the longest time, for instance, I had like my cheeks would tingle or my head would vibrate. These are common things for, people who practice with subtle energy. And so I would often ask like, hey, I enjoy that physical sensation. It's helping me right now. I don't necessarily need that anymore, but my channel has changed over time and yours can too. It's like a muscle that you just practice with, and once you practice with, you start to gain more abilities, and you get to play with that muscle in a new way. And so, yeah, just understanding that you set up the system for communication, and you can ask them like, hey, highest and best spirit guides, I really enjoy synchronicities for guidance. Can you please show me more of these? Ask and you shall receive. And don't be down on yourself too if you ask and then you don't immediately see like a response. Sometimes it takes time, it takes time, and maybe you aren't ready to communicate in that specific way that you asked for, but know that you will get there, and know that they will do their best to communicate with you in the way that's best for you right now. So, trusting what you receive with this too. Understanding that even though you may not astral travel like the channelers that you watch, or you may not trance channel like them, but you received a really big gut knowing that you were meant to take that job over this job or something, like trust what you receive. The more you can trust what immediately comes through your channel, the stronger it will become. And something just came forward and then I lost it. What was that? I'm gonna trust that it'll come forward if it needs to come forward. So yeah, trusting the messages that you receive, whether they're oh, there it is. Okay, so intuition and guidance is often a lot quieter than ego. And so when you are first starting to receive messages through your channel and you're trying to discern whether it's ego or actual guidance, often the intuition will feel expansive. It will feel open. It may be the quieter voice. It may be the more subtle heart resonant voice, where ego can cause kind of this distortion to happen, and it feels kind of clashing sometimes depending on what it is that you're asking for, and and you'll get the hang of it. You know, you'll get the hang of it. The more you use your channel and the more you trust what comes through, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's not what you want to do, your ego, if you trust that and you follow it, that's when the momentum kicks in and you start to receive more guidance, and then the greater understandings also take place. At first, when I was starting to channel, it took me a while to really just like blindly trust my intuition, but once I started, I mean, it hasn't stopped since. And I always check in with my intuition, with my knowing, my being, my guidance system before any decision, even if it's as simple as like, should I get gas right now, or should I eat this banana? You know, like, does my body want this? Is it highest and best for me? I'm always trusting what comes through. And then receiving. How can we be the receptor? How can we stay open to this receiving? Okay. I believe I have a meditation on this, is what I just heard. I'm pretty sure I have a meditation where we open up kind of the heart space and open up to receiving. So check that out. And then the heart is the gateway. If you can tap into your heart space and open your heart space, come into that receiving energy, just set the intention that I want to tap into what receiving feels like in my body. And then do that through opening your heart space. Your heart is the gateway to the cosmos, the gateway to the spirit realm. The heart connects us to everything. And so if you can open your heart and just open it to a place of receiving, I trust, and they're even saying you're gonna know what it feels like. Like once you tap into it, you're gonna know what it feels like, and trust that. Trust the knowing. It's a lot simpler than we try to make it to be. You know, it doesn't need to be all these steps. Simply just breathe, open your heart, whatever that means to you, and set the intention to receive. And then trust that you're safe with yourself too. We are all one. We all come from source. And so whatever being that you are interacting with, you are actually just interacting with yourself. And even on earth, you know, whoever you're interacting with, it's just a disguise of you, because we are all a disguise of source. You know, we are all source. And so no matter what being you are connecting with, know that you're safe, because you are with yourself, you know? Feel safe with yourself. And I have a meditation for that too. In the trust meditation, we tap into what safety within yourself feels like, because that's a building block for feeling that you can trust. And so that's really key. And then ask for guidance or communication. Simply just call upon your highest and best guides and ask to communicate with them. When you ask for their help, that opens the door to receive their help. Without that, sometimes they don't know, or sometimes they are following the law of non-intervention and they can't simply help you because you have not allowed it. Kind of like vampires, you know, like, yes, you may come into my household and then they can. Weird analogy, but it's kind of the same thing, you know. If you give it to the universe, if you give it to your guides, then they are able to kind of work with it. And then the last note is communication is always happening. Whether you know it or not, communication is always happening between your soul self, your guidance team, your star family, your ancestors, whatever it is. Communication is always happening, whether you're conscious of it or not. And if this is the case, know that your channel is never off, or your channel it's not something that you have to find, or you have to like find a certain key, and then once the key is there, then it immediately appears or something. Like, no, we are channels. It's what we are. It's who we are. It's our innate ability as humans. We are channels for information. We are receptors. We are receivers. You know, we are these antennas to other realms. We are galactic citizens. And so we all have this ability, each and every one of us, you know, and I do believe we will get to a point where everyone's turned on like this. You know, everyone is fully tapped into their channel. It's something that is present for all of us. And so communication is always happening. It's always here. And if there is an energy that's presenting as a guide, you've tapped into their frequency and you can tell that it's coming from a very loving place. It makes you feel really good, and they're presenting guidance for you. This is an energy that was contracted to be with you at this time. If they're a spirit guide, trust that, and trust that you have probably spent lifetimes with this person, or, well, this being, this energy. You know, they are contracted to help you out in this lifetime, which means you are safe with them. You are held divinely in their presence, and they want the best for you. And so listen to that guidance, trust what comes through, and know that you are always safe. You are always safe when using your channel. I hope this helped. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you learned anything new, or two, if I missed over something, you know, add it to the comments so people can see. We're here to help one another. We're here to communicate with one another. And I really do feel sharing knowledge helps everyone to expand in miraculous ways. So until the next video, I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.